Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for visiting the YouTube channel for bestbiblecommentaries.com. In this video, I'm going to talk about 7 whole Bible commentaries. I'm also going to show you some new releases in biblical studies, including John Piper's new book. Before I do that, I invite you to subscribe to my channel. Clicking the thumbs up button really helps me out on YouTube, so I'd appreciate you doing that. And feel free to leave a comment or ask a question down below. In my last video, I talked about the top 5 whole Bible commentaries based on aggregate academic reviews. In this video, I want to show you 7 more options. These aren't necessarily the next 7 in relation to the rankings, but they are on my list of top 25 whole Bible commentaries on my webpage, and I'll put a link to that in the description box below. But what I want to show you in this video is some other options that range from introductory one-volume commentaries to scholarly one-volume commentaries, just so you can get a little bit of a better idea of what options are available to you. I'm also going to put a link down below in the description box to Amazon for each of these volumes, so I invite you to use those as well. The first one I'll talk about is the Africa Bible Commentary. This is a project that was started in the mid to late 1990s. Over 70 different African Bible scholars and pastors contributed to this commentary, and it is conservative theologically. It's received good reviews from John Stott. Some of you are familiar with his work as a biblical scholar. And what really brought this volume on my radar was some comments that D.A. Carson made about it. Now, when D.A. Carson talks about a commentary, the world of biblical scholarship pays attention. It's not to say that everybody agrees with him all the time, but I'm just saying when he speaks, people listen. And his comments really struck me regarding this volume. There are two examples that he gave of how Western readers can benefit from using this commentary. One was in relation to demonic possession, and that's an illustration he was giving of what African pastors and ministry leaders deal with in a certain way in Africa that oftentimes Western Christians don't have a similar experience. So Carson was saying reading through that material was very helpful for a non-African Christian. Now, demonic possession was just an example, but there are a number of issues that would fall into that category where African Christians can really help educate Western or maybe just non-African Christians with regard to ministry. The other example D.A. Carson gave of how this volume can benefit non-African Christians is that Western Christians in particular tend to read Scripture and interpret Scripture through a lens that's very individualistic. Western Christians tend to have more of a self-centered focus to their reading and interpretation of Scripture, whereas African pastors and Christians, just Christians in general perhaps, tend to have more of a community or corporate reading and interpretation of Scripture. So anyway, those are the 2 comments that D.A. Carson made about this volume and how it can be helpful to non-African Christians, even though a lot of the material is designed for ministry effectiveness in Africa. So a fascinating resource and well-reviewed, and I would just consider it an up-and-coming commentary that has its reputation as being conservative and helpful is very well-deserved, but its reputation is still growing even years after its release. So it's the Africa Bible Commentary. Another category that I wanted to talk about is one-volume commentaries that are written by pastors. And I was trying to think what other examples from this category I could show you. I thought of John Corson. There might be a few others. If something comes to mind, feel free to leave a comment down below. These are 2 that came to mind for me. Put Corson in this category as well. So John MacArthur has been the pastor at Grace Community Church in California, Van Nuys, I think, since 1969. Isn't that amazing? Since 1969. And this one volume commentary has a lot of overlap with his study Bible. So his study Bible is a very popular study Bible, very popular biblical study aid. And there is a lot of overlap with this one volume commentary. If you want more depth from John MacArthur, he's also written volumes on every book of the New Testament. And in fact, some books of the New Testament he has written multiple volumes for. I think Matthew, for example, is in 4 volumes. So the benefit of this kind of one volume commentary would be, if you like the pastor, you're going to love his one volume commentary. It's great devotional reading. There's more of a focus on application than some of the other whole Bible commentaries that I showed you in my last video and also in this video. So these are fantastic for lay people. Tony Evans is a pastor of, I think it's Oak Cliff Bible Fellowship is the name of his church in Dallas, where he's been since the late 70s, I think it is. He graduated from Dallas Theological Seminary and has also taught there, I think, ever since that time as well. Tony Evans has a study Bible and also this one volume Bible commentary. Again, a lot of overlap between the study Bible and this one volume Bible commentary. I think with I'll put Corson in this category as well. How do you know if you would benefit from one of these? It's really, if you like the person's preaching, you're going to like the one volume commentary. You know, MacArthur has a significant fan base. If you love MacArthur, you're going to love this volume. If you like Tony Evans, you're going to like this volume. If you're not sure, go on YouTube. All of these men have a very heavy presence on YouTube. And so if you like what you hear, you're probably going to like these volumes. So it can really, the discernment for commentaries written by pastors is really that simple. All right, this one I got a request for recently, so I thought I would include this one in the video. This is the Moody Bible Commentary. And this was written by 30 professors from Moody Bible Institute, which is a school known for premillennial, pre-tribulation viewpoints. I should also say that MacArthur and Tony Evans are both premillennial and pre-tribulation as well. The difference would be those one volume commentaries written by the pastors are written at an introductory level. This one is more of a mid-level commentary, mid-level whole Bible commentary from a premillennial, pre-tribulation perspective. So as far as, is this a good resource for you? In this case, I think it really just comes down to theology. If the theology I described aligns with your convictions, I think that you will like this commentary. If it doesn't, you'll probably choose something else. All right, the next one, I actually did a whole video on this one recently, so I won't duplicate too much of the material, but if you didn't see that video, then this is a giant book. It is over 1,500 pages in length, and the vision for this volume was very ambitious. It aimed to be diverse in several different ways, diverse in relation to where the authors are from, like where they're born, where they do ministry, and also diversity in theology. There are Catholic scholars, Protestant scholars, Orthodox scholars that contribute to this volume. Some people enjoy that about this volume and other people don't. The Apocrypha is included in this one volume Bible commentary, so if that's of interest to you, this would be one of the volumes that includes it. There's one other one. The next one I'll show you also includes the Apocrypha. So for those who really value diversity in all the ways that I described, may like this volume. Kind of the downside is the inconsistency. If you turn to, the book of Daniel, for example, you might find one set of theological convictions. You turn to the book of Romans, and you'll find an entirely different set. Some readers don't really like that, but some readers, like I said, they do value the diversity. So quite an ambitious project. James D.G. Dunn is one of the editors, and he's a very well-reviewed Bible commentator. The next one is like Erdman's, it's a little bit more academic than some of the other ones I'm showing you. I won't go so far as to say it's technical in relation to the original languages, but it does have a feature that many technical Bible commentaries have, and that's that it interacts with modern biblical scholarship. However, this volume is a little bit dated now, and so it's not the most recent biblical scholarship that it interacts with. The authors in this series, in this volume, come from the Society of Biblical Literature, which is an academic society. A few videos ago, I showed you an example of an academic journal from the Evangelical Theological Society, which is a conservative society. In order to be a part of that society, you have to affirm the doctrine of inerrancy and the Trinity. So not all societies are that conservative, including the Society of Biblical Literature. You're more likely to find moderate to liberal scholars in the Society of Biblical Literature, the SBL. Conservatives participate in the conferences and will write for the journal. It's called the SBL. They'll write for the Society of Biblical Literature journal, but on the whole, it doesn't have the conservative requirements that some of the other societies have, and that's reflected in this commentary. So there's more criticism in this commentary. There's more non-conservative theology in this commentary. The Apocrypha is included in this volume, so if that's of interest to you, then that might be helpful to know. So this is the HarperCollins Bible Commentary. All right, and one other one before I show you some new releases in biblical studies, and that's the Zondervans King James Version commentary written by or edited by Edward Hidson and Daniel Mitchell. It's a conservative approach to Scripture. It's an evangelical conservative approach to Scripture. This is an expansion of the King James Study Bible. So if you're not aware of this commentary, you might want to look up King James Study Bible online in addition to this 2-volume set. This is the New Testament edition, and then there's an volume, and then there's an Old Testament volume. So it's a whole Bible commentary in two volumes. Edward Hinson taught at Liberty University, and Daniel Mitchell taught at Liberty Baptist Theological Seminary. So it's introductory to mid-level, and the biblical text is in bold. You might be able to see it's in bold, and it comes from the King James Version. So that's really what differentiates this between other whole Bible commentaries, is that it's using the King James Version, and some people like that. All right. Let me show you some new releases in biblical studies. First one is 40 Questions About Interpreting the Bible. This is a Kriegel publication. You might know that this has been out for a while, but this is the second edition, which includes a different final section that deals with interesting questions regarding interpretation, like using the Bible, interpreting the Bible during daily devotions. How do I lead a Bible study? Does the Bible teach that Christians will be healthy and wealthy? So it's a new last section for the 40 Questions About Interpreting the Bible series. I really like this 40 Questions series, by the way. Another book belonging to another series that is ongoing is from IVP, and it is the 7 Sentences series. There's Old Testament in 7 sentences, New Testament in 7 sentences, I think philosophy in 7 sentences. I might be missing one. But this is the newest one, Christian History in 7 sentences. Subtitle, A Small Introduction to a Vast Topic. So really fascinating I just love seeing what 7 sentences these authors pick. Very interesting. So this one ranges from the Nicene Creed in chapter 2 to the Second Vatican Council in chapter 7. So really fascinating. It's kind of a quick read. So it kind of gives you an overview, but it's just kind of a neat approach to a big topic. The next one I have to show you is the latest from the Counterpoint series by Zondervan. If you've watched my videos before, you know I love the multi-view books. I love cordial debate on biblical studies and theological studies topics. And Exodus is one of my favorite books of the Bible, so really excited to get this. I've already started it. This is 5 views on the Exodus: historicity, chronology, and theological implications. So there's Christian perspectives, there's Jewish writers, and they're interacting with each other on the historicity of the Exodus itself. So not meaning the Exodus as the entire book, but the event of the Exodus. They talk about the archaeological evidence and the timeline, what century, and if you know anything about that conversation, there's a lot of discussion around that. So I'm really excited about this one. And the last one is Piper's new book on providence. So a big book. It is over 700 pages in length. And Carson, let's see. Carson blurbed it here, but that's actually not the comment that's really stuck out to me. I read elsewhere that Carson said that this is the most important book that Piper's ever written. So that kind of caught my eye when he said that. I have not read it cover to cover yet. I just recently got it, actually, because my understanding is that the first 2 printings sold out pretty quick. So I had to wait for them to send me a copy. So I have not read it cover to cover yet. I've looked at sections of it, and it looks to me like I would describe it as systematic theology with a pastor's heart. So systematic theology books can tend to be dense, not necessarily in a negative way, but they're very meaty, have a lot of substance to them. And this is a little bit more of a mid-level, I hate to call it introductory because of the length of it, but it's not your average systematic theology book. It's written at a little bit lower level than that, I would say. I think lay people would do just fine with this if you use it for a small group or a Bible or a Sunday school class or something like that. I think that would be fine. It does. Piper kind of writes how he speaks. You can kind of hear his voice when you're reading his work. So I think all audiences would benefit from this book, and providence is an extraordinary topic within systematic theology to talk about. So this might be a great resource for some of you. So I wanted to show you that. All right. Well, thank you for watching this video, and thank you for visiting bestbiblecommentaries.com.